Hi, this is Melissa from the Yarn Barn, and today let's talk about reed substitution. So when I started weaving, it was a long time ago, and I did not have a ton of money. And so I only had one reed, and I made that 12 dent reed work for about 15 years. And it worked for everything, for very fine yarns, for big thick yarns. I just made it work. I've since expanded, so now I have 12 and 10 and 15 and 8. And that's probably where I'll stop because I can still make those work for a wider range than just those names. So a 12 dent reed can do much more than just 12 ends per inch. A 10 dent can do much more than just 10 ends per inch. So you can get a lot of mileage out of any one reed. If you haven't done that before, let's look at it and see how it's done. So here is a typical 12 dent reed. And what does that mean? That means in any 1 inch, there are 12 spaces. Now, that's about right for a 3-2 pearl cotton, but if you need an 8-2 that you're trying to space at, let's say, 18 ends per inch or 24 ends per inch, how can you make this work? Let's look at it close up and see. All right, so let's take our example of that 12 dent reed that we need to push beyond doing just 12 ends per inch. So here's a little drawing of the 12 dent reed. Here's 1 inch, and so it's got 12 spaces, and here's another inch with 12 spaces. So let's say I did need to do 24 ends per inch. Now, remember that your reed is just a spacer. It beats down the weft, yes, but as far as how it's dealing with the warp, it's simply a spacer. So you just want to make sure that you've got your warp threads kind of evenly spaced. So if I needed to do 24 ends per inch, I can put 2 threads in each of these dents. And by doing that, I end up with 24 ends per inch. Now, it's important to remember that we're not going to put these in the same heddle. So even though there are 2 ends in this dent, each one has its own heddle. But that way, suddenly, you've got 24 ends per inch. Now, what if you needed to do 18? Well, 18, if you do 1 in the first dent, and then 2 in the second dent, and then 1, and then 2, and then 1, and then 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, you've got 18 ends per inch here. Now, you may think, well, but the spacing is different. Will it look different when it's washed? And in most cases, you will never know that you didn't have 18 evenly spaced ends across your warp in some sort of magical 18 dent reed. So you've got 2 here, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, but once it's washed, that will even out to a nice 18 ends per inch. Now let's look at the same thing with a 10 dent reed. Now, you can imagine with this example that you could do 20 ends per inch by just putting 2 in every dent. And you could do 15 by doing 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. But you can also do 5. If you wanted to do something like, let's say, a rug warp that's not particularly thick, but you need to space it so your weft has room to go around, you can just leave a space in between. Or you can do something like 30. You can put 3 in every one of these dents and then get 30 ends per inch. So any one reed can do much more than just the number that's part of its name. Now, so I said I started out with a 12 dent reed once upon a time, and then I added a 10 dent reed. Why those 2 reeds? Why not 12 and 8? I think it's really useful to have one reed that can do multiples of 6. So with your 12 dent reed, you can do 6, 12, 18, 24, 36, multiples of 6 very easily. Then by adding the 10 dent reed, you can get 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and so on. So you can actually get, between just these two, you can cover so much ground and get really pretty darn precise on the number of ends per inch that you want just between these two. Now, for convenience, certainly having other reeds as well, and I have a 15 that I use quite a bit, and I have an 8 that I've started using more. But if I were only going to have 2, these would be the 2 that I would have, just so I can do those multiples. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're doing this kind of thing, which is doing it for fewer ends per inch than the reed name suggests, there's a limit to what you can do here. So for example, if you had a super thick yarn that was appropriate to set at 5 ends per inch, this spacing just might be too close, and cramming it into a 10 dent reed, even though you were only setting it at 5 per inch because you were leaving these spaces out, this space might just be too tight and you might get some abrasion. So that could be a reason that even though the numbers work out to do 5 ends per inch, you really do need a 5 dent reed, or in this case, a 6 dent reed. So there are sometimes reasons why you might need to get something other than something that you could make work mathematically, but you just might have to think about whether it would work physically and practically. Now, so how do you know how to make those reed substitutions? Fortunately, there are a lot of resources, and some of them are on the internet. So if you just Google reed substitution chart, you'll find some. This is in the book, Deborah Chandler's Learning to Weave, which is a wonderful resource, and she's got it here. Now, the way this book is set up, this is the reed that you have. This is the way that you slay it, and then this is the number of ends per inch that you'll get. So for example, if you've got, let's say, a 10 dent reed, and you slay it 1 per dent, you'll get 10 ends per inch. But if you slay it 0-1 in that 10 dent reed, you'll get 5 ends per inch. And so how do you read this? This represents the first 3 dents, and you would leave that one empty, you would leave that one empty, and you would put 1 in the next dent. Or down here, you've got 4 dents, you would put 2 in this one, 2 in the next one, 2 in the next one, and 3 in the 4th one. And then you just repeat that over and over again. And that then is regardless of what the length of the reed is or the number of dents per inch. This is the order that you use. And then this is all of the different sets that you can get depending on what reed you're using. Now, it's important to keep in mind that these are not exact, and that can bite you in the butt. So, for example, this slaying 0-0-1, so empty, empty, 1. If you had a 9 dent reed, that makes sense that you would have 3 ends per inch. But if you had an 8 dent reed, this chart tells you that you would also have 3 ends per inch. And if you had a 10 dent reed, you would have 3 ends per inch. Now, logically, you know that's not true. You can't have the same number of ends per inch with the same slaying with 3 different reeds. So this one really is 3. This one at 8 in an 8 dent reed, you would actually get 2.67 ends per inch. And in this 10, you would have 3.33 ends per inch. And yes, that's close. And as far as the set goes and the fabric, you probably wouldn't notice the difference when you're done, the fabric's been washed, whether you set it at truly 3 or 3.33 ends per inch. However, ultimately that will add up and affect the width of your fabric. So if you had 60 ends total and you wanted to set that at 3 ends per inch, that's going to be 20 inches wide. But if you're really only setting it at 2.67 ends per inch, you're going to end up with 22 inches. And if you hadn't planned for that, you might not have a wide enough reed. And then the opposite here, if you think it's going to be 20 inches, but you're setting it at 3.3 ends per inch, that's going to end up being just a little over 18 inches wide. So that's going to affect the width of the finished fabric. So I would encourage you, if you're using this kind of substitution chart, to go ahead and verify these numbers, because while kind of practically speaking, that might be about 3 ends per inch, you do want to verify to make sure that you're going to get the width that you need for the fabric. Now, there is a different style of chart. So this reed substitution chart is a little bit different. Here's the set that you want to get. Here's the reed that you have using just the most common sizes. And then here are the order of slaying. So very similar to what we just looked at. Here's 1 in the first dent, 1 in the next dent, 1 in the third dent, 2 in the fourth dent. But these empty spaces indicate there's really not an ideal way to slay it to give you these sets. So if you see this kind, this one typically is a little bit more reliable as far as getting the exact set with this reed and this slaying order. So one thing to think about when you're considering whether or not you need to add a reed to your collection is that you don't have to use a reed that's the full width of your loom. So for example, right now on our 39-inch Glamocra standard loom, we have a 16-inch reed just because we're weaving a narrow project and there is no benefit in having a 39-inch reed on that when the scarf is only 10 inches wide. So you can always use a reed that's narrower than your loom as long as it's wide enough for your project. And for some looms, the opposite is true as well. You can actually use a wider reed than the weaving width. Just look at the end of the beater and see that it's open. So for example, on a 39-inch weaving width, you might choose to use a 44-inch reed if that's what you've got. So our mantra here at the Yarn Barn is use what you've got first, and then if you don't have what you need, then add to your collection. So I hope that has taken some of the mystery out of reed substitution, and that you realize you can actually get quite a lot of good out of the reeds you have, or maybe if you see that there's something that you're lacking, now you know how to fill it.